how I would get into an Airbus degree apprenticeship. In this video, I'm going to go through exactly what I would do if I wanted to get into an Airbus degree apprenticeship. I'm going to go through the 10 steps, exactly what it says on the tin. Okay, so first of all, who is this video for? Well, obviously this video is for anyone who's looking to start a degree apprenticeship at Airbus, but it's also going to be applicable to any other aerospace company. For example, General Electric or Rolls-Royce, any of these aerospace companies, there's going to be a lot of transferable knowledge in this video. So if you are looking to get into a degree apprenticeship, no matter what the field is, whether it is engineering, whether it's project management, whether it's supply chain, whether it's business, whether it's digital, whatever, a degree apprenticeship at some of these aerospace companies, including Airbus, that's who this video is for. Okay, so why should you listen to me about this topic? Well, first things first, last year I had a bunch of students that I helped them get into degree apprenticeships. One of these was actually Airbus. This is one of my students here who I helped get into a mechanical engineering degree apprenticeship at Airbus. I also helped some of my students get into other aerospace companies. For example, two of them here who Rolls-Royce, this was for project management, and Rolls-Royce, this one here was for software engineering. And then also me myself, I got into Rolls-Royce when I was applying for my degree apprenticeships as well. Rolls-Royce is an aerospace company just like Airbus. Okay, so that's why you should listen to me, and that's why I'll be able to help you today. So the roles available at Airbus, essentially there's a lot of roles and a lot of locations. Okay, so let me just go to their applications page. Basically, they have a very wide range of degree apprenticeships. They've got electrical engineering, aerospace engineering. So they have a lot of engineering in all sorts of types. They've got like space, software engineering. They got electrical engineering, manufacturing engineering, like testing engineering, design engineering, all this sort of stuff. So they have that engineering stuff. They also have a lot of the software sort of stuff, digital and technology solutions, space software engineering. Then they also have a lot of sort of other ones like supply chain, project management, health and safety, business, I think I saw. Yeah, business, customer service engineering, all this sort of stuff. So they have a lot of roles, and it's a lot of locations, including Stevenage, Bristol, Chester, all that sort of thing. Okay. So if any of those sort of roles interest you and you're thinking of, yep, sounds like I want to come and apply to one of these roles here, space project manager, space software engineering, then this video is going to be for you. Okay, so let's get into this. The 10 steps I would follow if I wanted to get into a degree apprenticeship at Airbus. Okay, first things first would be work experience. Work experience is super important to have in your application, and you want it to be related to the aerospace industry, okay? Because you're applying to Airbus or you're applying to Rolls-Royce, whatever these companies, you want to have it related to the sort of aerospace industry. So in terms of work experience, these are 3 key ones I'd recommend. These are all virtual ones, which means you can sort of do them from the comfort of your home whenever you want. This first one, aerospace, I would strongly recommend this one. Okay, so this aerospace work experience here is done by Airbus themselves. Okay, so it's basically Airbus work experience you get to do it with. Now, I've spoken to recruiters, and if you mention a company's own name on your CV, it's an almost guaranteed pass to the next stage. Okay, that's what I've been told by real recruiters. So, for example, if you're applying to Amazon, you mention Amazon on your CV, like, oh, I did Amazon work experience, I did an Amazon course, I did Amazon something, almost guaranteed to the next stage. So it's the exact same with this one. You want to leverage that. When you're applying to Airbus, mention this aerospace work experience here. Okay? Another one you can do is Civil Aviation Authority. They have some work experiences here, which you can come and click on here. These are good ones to do as well, which will give you lots of knowledge about the aviation industry. Now, in my CVs, I would usually be doing 3 to 5 work experiences in each of my CVs. So I strongly recommend making sure you're at least doing 2, but preferably like 3 or 4 of these virtual work experiences here. If you click on this one, there's like a couple sort of subsections within this one here. So those are good work experiences for you to sort of get along with it. Just another thing I thought about this one. This Airbus one, my friend mentioned it in his personal statement for Imperial College London, which is one of basically the best engineering universities in the UK, and he mentioned that in his application in like his personal statement, and he got into Imperial College London. So that was sort of good experience that helped him get into one of the best universities in the UK. So it's going to be super valuable for degree apprenticeships as well. Okay, so do those work experiences. I'd also strongly recommend a massive open online course, otherwise known as a MOOC. Okay, so MOOC, you can find these on 3 websites. You can do them completely for free: Coursera, edX, and FutureLearn. So you can complete the whole course for free. They're going to say something like, oh, you have to pay to get your certificate. It doesn't matter, you don't need your certificate. Just complete the course, take a screenshot of just sort of the progress bar. It says you're 100%. You don't need the official certificate for any of these sort of applications here, okay? Now, in terms of which MOOCs should you be doing, if you're genuinely serious, I would recommend a 40-hour plus MOOC. Okay, that might sound like a lot, but if you're serious about this, I'd recommend it. The reason for this is, once you do one of these MOOCs here, you're going to find it, as long as like you're decent at interviews and you're decent at the rest of the application stage, if you do one of these MOOCs here, it's going to be difficult to not get hired by the company. Okay, that might sound kind of weird. I did this aeronautical engineering one, Delft X, Introduction to Aeronautical Engineering. It's essentially a 7 what was it, 7-week MOOC, 10 hours per week. So it was 70 hours. And I did it over the course of like November and December 2020, something like that. I learned so much in here that like literally no one would even know a single thing about. Like I could calculate the density of air at some random altitude. I could calculate the thrust on an airplane, how far it could travel, the drag on an airplane. I knew all these different things about airplane structures. Nothing that anyone would be even close to who's just been to school and has studied like maths and physics A level or something like that. So if you're looking at Airbus and you're specifically going into the engineering field, 100% I'd recommend doing this introduction to aeronautical engineering. Just the stuff you'll learn is going to be sort of next level. It's like once I knew this might sound kind of big-headed or whatever, but it's a fact. I just want to tell you, it was difficult for me to not get hired by Rolls-Royce, an aerospace company, because I had such detailed knowledge. When I went into the interview, I was able to use this detailed knowledge. In the Rolls-Royce Assessment Centre, there's a presentation. I was able to use this knowledge in my presentation. Like my presentation was completely based off this course here. Everyone else was probably doing some cute sort of presentation on some nice stuff. I was doing some like seriously high-level calculation sort of stuff about flight dynamics and aerodynamics that I'd learned from this course. So honestly, I would 100% vouch for this if you're serious. Like I don't know if Airbus is your number one, Rolls-Royce is your number one. You're looking to get into, for example, aerospace engineering or any other type of engineering. Highly recommend this one. Okay, so any really by like TU Delft, there's a lot of TU Delft ones on Coursera, edX, and FutureLearn. I think these are mainly on edX actually. So TU Delft, go to edX, search up TU Delft. They have a good couple of courses. They've got this introduction to aeronautical engineering one. If you're looking for something a bit more broad, I think they have one on like sustainable aerospace and that sort of thing. So go and have a look at one by TU Delft. They're very renowned. They're like a university in the Netherlands, very big for sort of aerospace and that sort of thing. Strongly recommend. Another one is MIT. So that's like, what is it, Massachusetts Institute of Technology or something. Big university in the US. They have a bunch of courses on edX as well, so you can go and have a look at those as well. I would strongly recommend doing those. Okay, and once you've done these, it's like you're gonna have so much knowledge that, as I said, you can use in your interview and presentation. You're gonna be miles above everyone. It's gonna be ridiculous. And then also in your CV, it's just really good to say this. Like this is a copy and paste from my Rolls-Royce CV, talking about a 7-week MOOC, 10 hours per week. Like I've just shown them straight away just by saying these numbers out loud. I'm already better than 90% of people who might have said they've done like a 2-hour MOOC, or maybe they haven't even done a MOOC, right? I've done a 70-hour one. That just shows how dedicated I am. I have those time management skills, etc. And then I'm talking about some of the stuff I studied: atmosphere, force on aircraft, aerodynamics. I learned about like the actual physics behind turbine engines and how they work, right? Mass flow, bypass ratio. These are words that like most people don't even know. And it's all from this course, which may, as I said, doing a course like this sort of just completely changes the game. As long as you're like decent at interviews, decent at presentations, like if you go and do this course but then you're shocking at interviews and you don't know what you're saying, then it's like fair enough. But if you're decent at interviews, decent at presentations, this is going to massively get you through the door. This course, it's ridiculous. I normally don't like emphasize like one thing this much, but just in terms of aerospace, I want you guys who genuinely want to get into like some sort of aerospace, some sort of engineering degree apprenticeship at an aerospace company, get this one done. Get it done, man. And even this entry here, I could, if I was writing it again, talk more about the skills, talk about the time management skills that developed, the analytical skills, the numerical skills, the problem solving skills. Because it's not only a course where you learn stuff, they also give you sort of questions, tests, little mini tests, quizzes, that sort of thing, where you have to go and solve problems. So good. If you're a bit less serious, then maybe you can do like a less than 8-hour MOOCs. There are some MOOCs out there which are like 12 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever. So if you like, you're not going to dedicate your time to do this, then at least do something. Because something is better than nothing, but I would strongly recommend doing this one or something by TU Delft and MIT. Okay, and I'm going to get into like how much time you have a bit later, because you might think, oh, I don't have time for a 40-hour MOOC. Chances are you probably do. Okay, so I'll talk about that at the end as well. So after you've done that MOOC, well, not necessarily after, I mean, it doesn't really matter what order you do these in, but I'd also recommend doing some webinars, okay, because webinars are a bit like courses, because you're going to learn a lot of sort of technical knowledge, because a lot of these webinars, they're done by professionals, they're done by organizations, they're quite in-depth, they're quite detailed, but they're pretty short as well. So they're usually only an hour, maybe you get a 2-hour webinar, but it's usually just an hour webinar. So you're going to learn a lot of technical information, you're going to be able to sort of drop a big company on your CV, and it's only an hour of your time, so it's very high leverage. It's a very efficient thing to do. So these are 3 webinars which I thought might be useful. This one's with SpaceX and Goldman Sachs. Those are 2 good names to put on your sort of CV saying I watched this webinar by SpaceX and Goldman Sachs, and you learn about some stuff here. Again, Airbus, doing an Airbus webinar, it's another opportunity to name drop them. So if you don't have a chance, or maybe you don't get around to doing this Airbus work experience up here, then at least do this Airbus webinar so you can mention the name of Airbus. And similarly, this is another one here about like the ISS, SpaceX, this sort of thing. Okay, so these I've noticed that these 3 webinars I've put down here, these are quite space related. If whatever you're looking at is more aviation related, then go and find some aviation webinars. So just to clarify, aerospace industry, it sort of combines planes, like aeroplanes, and space. That's what aerospace sort of is. So it's planes and space travel all put together, commercial, military, like both of those sort of together, okay? And then you can, again, put this in your CV, just something along these lines. So just say you attended this webinar, talk about some of the key things you learn, and then it's sort of a good phrase to say. This is like a phrase you can go copy and paste. This gives me a solid base of knowledge for starting a degree apprenticeship in the aerospace sector. You could say something like that, okay? And these webinars, these courses that I'm mentioning, just tailor them to whichever role you're applying for. So obviously, if you were coming to Airbus and you're looking to apply, for example, to project management, then obviously you don't need to do an aeronautical engineering course. Okay, this aeronautical engineering, I'm talking that specifically to the people who are, if I can move to the left, I'm talking about that aerospace engineering course specifically for people who are going to do electrical engineering, aerospace engineering, that sort of thing. If you're doing something else, for example, business, you don't have to do it like this one specifically, but I'd still recommend doing some sort of course on business, okay, or some sort of webinar on business. If it's possible, do one on business to do with aerospace, okay? So it's like these aren't, like, I'm not telling you, right, you have to do these. These are just suggestions that'll be useful for some people. For other people, go and Google a webinar yourself, find what's going to be good for you. The next one is deep research. And this one's actually going to be very easy because Airbus have a very, very, very good website. Very good website. Like, props to Airbus for this. Their website is very well laid out, very organized, it's very detailed. Some companies, their website's trash. This one's good. Okay, so I'll give you a starting point with some of this research. Obviously, you're going to have to go and do some of that yourself, but I'll just give you a starting point here. So in terms of the research areas, these are the kind of things I'd focus on. First of all, you want to do like a sort of overview of the company. Okay, so you need to understand how Airbus works. Okay, so if you come to airbus.com and you come to About Us, this is where I'd make sure I'd be going through all of these pages, okay? This is going to be super useful for your CV, for your cover letter, and also for any video interviews, and also for the assessment centre when you need to sort of prepare for questions like, what do you know about the company? Why do you want to work for this company? Okay, it's good to know these sort of about the company. So you want to know, for example, this fact, it's Europe's largest aerospace company. You want to know about its products and services, okay? So what do Airbus actually sell? What do they do? What do they do for their customers? Okay. Oh, they do commercial aircraft, they do helicopters, they do defense, they do space, they do security. Okay, and then you can just come here, click on each one, learn a bit more. Okay, maybe click on commercial aircraft, it'll tell you about some of the recent projects, recent innovations, some news that's gone on with commercial aircraft. Okay, that's what I'm saying. This website is super well laid out. So let's just go through all the subsections within About Us. Go to products and services, have a read about everything there. Go to what we do, have a read about everything there. Go to the strategy, read about everything there. Okay, worldwide presence, I'd probably ignore that. History, probably ignore that. Governance, probably ignore that. But it's like, if you've got, that's just saying if you're in a rush, then I'd just focus on these top 3 because these are most important. But 100% just go through as many of these as possible and just sort of learn about the company and how it works. How does it make money? What are its goals? What are its mission? Because you need to be able to demonstrate that you're interested in this specific company. So you need to demonstrate what you know about the company, what interests you about that company, what excites you about that company. Why do you want to come and work for Airbus rather than Rolls-Royce, rather than General Electric, rather than Boeing, rather than SpaceX? Right, I know some of those companies don't have degree apprenticeships, but at the end of the day, you're coming to work for Airbus. You need to explain what motivates you to this role. And then there's 3 research areas here that I would focus on because this is exactly what Airbus focus on. Sustainability, innovation, and safety. Okay, so I'll start you off with sustainability, and then you can go and do a bit more research on innovation and safety. So if you come to this website here, as I said, really well laid out. Here are the 3 sort of things here: innovation, sustainability, and safety. So if we come to sustainability here, the most important document you can find on sustainability is, let me see if I can find it, this bit here. So explore now. It's like an interactive sustainability booklet. That's what they call it. There is so much information in this booklet, it's ridiculous. Okay, most people aren't going to find this because what they're going to do is they're going to look at this bit, sustainability. They need to have net zero by 2050. Boom, that's their fact done, and then they go off and do something else. Okay, this is with the basic research. When you go on a website, don't just remember the first thing that comes up, because that's the thing. Everyone is going to look at the first thing. So when I was helping people get into JLR last year, I basically sent them, like my students, this like super detailed, it was like an investment document that had so much more detailed research, and that's how they were able to do well in their interviews and presentations, because they had better research. Everyone else was just saying the same thing. They were saying like the first thing that pops up on the website, the easy research. I'd sent them some detailed research going into some like investor specific strategies that the company was going to implement over the next few years, which meant they were able to sort of show off and stand out as a candidate. So don't just say like net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Yeah, that's good. You want to come down here, come to this explore now. Way more detailed research here, way more detailed research. Okay? Because now, rather than just saying, oh, I know you care about sustainability and you want to be net zero by 2050, it now goes on to, I know you care about sustainability and I know that you have 3 separate pillars for this: respecting the planet, valuing people, and enabling prosperity. Boom. No one else mentioned that. No one else mentioned that their sustainability mission was broken down into these 3 different sort of subsections. And then you can be like, let me just talk a bit more about your specifically respecting the planet one. Now, this is something that really interests me. I saw the ways that you're trying to help with the planet, including hydrogen planes. I know you have the fleet of zero emission, which you're currently working on. Also, there's hybridization, electrification, there's fleet renewal, there's sustainable aviation fuels. It's like now you're going into specifics rather than the average person who says, I want to work for your company because you're sustainable and you want to be net zero by 2050. It's like, yeah, we get it. Let's do something more interesting. I want to work for your company because you really care about sustainability. I know you have these 3 specific pillars where you've sort of planned out which bits of sustainability you want to do. So I researched more about the respecting the planet one because that one particularly interested me. And I looked at what actual actionable steps, what tactics you were using. I saw it starts off with fleet renewal so that you can improve the current aircraft. And then it's going to be sustainable aviation fuel so that although we're still on sort of kerosene fueled planes at the moment, we can sort of make the emissions much less. And then in the meantime, we'll sort of use those sustainable aviation fuels, but the long-term goal, it's going to be hydrogen. Okay, electrification, complete electrification is going to be quite difficult, which is why I've seen that on your website you're looking at hybridization at the moment, because this can reduce up to 5% of fuel consumption. But overall, I think hydrogen, I was really interested by what I was reading with hydrogen, with your Zero E initiative, and how you want your first commercial aircraft to be brought to the market by 2035. You see that? There's so much more research there. It's crazy. And then you can, if you want to, you can talk about these other pillars. So valuing people. And then it's like these are another subsections you can go into. So I'd recommend this with Airbus. Maybe mention something about health and safety. A lot of these engineering companies care about health and safety. I'd definitely make sure you sort of mention the keyword health and safety somewhere on your CV. Same with like inclusion, diversity. They're just buzzwords that companies like to use. Just make sure you got that buzzword on your CV somewhere. Same with sustainability, make sure it's on there, obviously. Okay, then it's like they've got this pillar as well. Like you don't have to mention every single one, but it's like if you come in and mention just like one of these, like hydrogen, it just shows you've done that specific research rather than, oh, we want to be net zero by 2050. It's like, congratulations, you know how to use ChatGPT. Enabling prosperity, they want to unite communities, support peacekeeping, allegedly. Digital, they want to do collaboration. It's like, there's so much research here, man. If you want like some more on about sustainability, you can check out this video here. So this was a video I filmed about 12 months ago on how to get into a degree apprenticeship at an aerospace company. So this video I'm filming right now is sort of an update from this video, going in more detailed information and trying to help you out more. But in this video I did back then, I delivered like a 5-minute presentation on how the aerospace industry is becoming sustainable. So if you want to learn more about sustainability, go and click this one here. It'll sort of fast track you straight to that section. It's like 5 minutes in or something. Just watch that 5-minute presentation, then you can sort of come back and do that. And by the way, I don't think I've mentioned it. This Notion document is going to be all in the description, so all the resources are sort of there for you to go and use. Yeah. I used to want to be a pilot back in the day, by the way. So that's why I like know so much about planes. Like, although, yeah. This is why for example, this is why I randomly did this aeronautical engineering course. I wasn't specifically thinking about my degree apprenticeship applications, but I just wanted to be a pilot back in the day. So that's why I was so interested in planes, and that's why I know so much about planes and how it works, and that's why like I know all of this stuff about Airbus and sustainability and this like sustainable aviation fuels and all this sort of thing. So that's one for you there. We've gone into sustainability. This is a key resource. This is like the #1 resource you can get. But then there's also other things to talk about. So literally, I'm only scratching the surface with this. So if you come to menu, have a look at innovation. Okay, this will be particularly useful for some of you guys who are doing the software engineering one, because have a look at what they're specifically looking at in terms of engineering, in terms of innovation. Sorry. So if I was doing software engineering, what I would do is I would come to digital transformation, discover digital projects. And then what I'd do is I'd come and talk about some of these: artificial intelligence, quantum computing, connectivity, and advanced analytics. Okay, and then you can go into some really specific thing about artificial intelligence, like, let's see if I can do it now. Let's see what they've done. Yeah, like I read about how you're currently utilizing AI within autonomous flight. This really interests me because da 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 da. And it's like everyone else just maybe mentioned the buzzword, oh, I care about artificial intelligence, but you've specifically said, like, I know you're using artificial intelligence within autonomous flight. Is there anything more specific? For example, with your like automate thing, or with your like deck finder aerial system, right? That's so much more specific that you've actually done research. Like I care about how you've done AI in your like AirSense, whatever that is. Obviously, like read more to properly understand it. I'm just looking at this for the first time, right? That's what you can do. Okay, and then the other one would be safety. So as I said, these engineering companies, they care a lot about safety. So you want to make sure you've mentioned safety in your CV. You can have a look at some of these down here. And just another tip for you, in an interview with an engineering company, you need to be ready for a question which is, tell me about a time when you saw something unsafe, and you sort of have to give them a time where you've spotted something unsafe, and essentially you need to say that you reported it. Health and safety is number one priority. You're never going to breach safety, even if it's a bit of an awkward situation. You want to keep everyone safe. Or what would you do if you saw something unsafe happen? And basically it's the same answer. You need to say that you would report it immediately, or like bring it up, or you'd try to stop it because safety is number one priority, etc., etc., etc. Okay, just bonus tip for you there on interviews. So that's research areas there. Let's move on to company values. So these company values are like sort of abstract. They're called like officially, linguistically, abstract nouns is what companies is like what they are, and they're just these sort of wishy-washy sort of things, right? But companies say them. You want to match with them because they essentially want employees who are going to align with their values. Because say like a company really cares about collaboration, you're an independent worker and you hate people and you don't like teamwork, and then you're not going to be a good fit for the organization. They want someone who matches with that sort of value. So customer focus, integrity, respect, creativity, reliability, teamwork. You need to show in your application that you're going to match all of these essentially. So you've got to mention a time in your CV potentially when you've given really good customer service, okay? Mention all these keywords here. They also have something called core principles. Now, what's the difference between these company values and core principles? Answer, I don't really know. Doesn't really matter. Just try and get all of these words in regardless. So yeah, these are company values. That's like somewhere else on their website I found them refer to core principles. So this is just what they've said, but it's like they're all sort of the same thing. Just make sure you're talking about safety, integrity, customer focus, quality, doing things to your highest standards, like excellence, all this sort of thing. And then finally, desired skills. Go and look at the job description. So they have pretty good job descriptions. So if I come to this one, you can look at some of the keywords they're looking for. Essentially, with key skills, desired skills, required skills, you want to match every single one of these skills that they need in your application, because then it essentially says you're the perfect candidate. Okay. So you want to go through the job description. This is like an activity you want to do with actually all your degree apprenticeships. Go through the job description, make a list of all sort of the keywords, the key skills they mention. So it would be coming here, and it would be leadership skills, I would mention. Curious, excited to explore. Like you can work in a dynamic and changing environment. You can solve problems. You can communicate effectively. You can deal with fast-paced situations. You're passionate about aerospace. You're passionate about sustainability, etc. Okay, let me give you another example. So let's just choose a random one here. Business degree apprenticeship. Let's see what this one says. Okay, sometimes they don't have a very good job description here. They haven't given any required skills or anything like that. Let's have a look at this one. If they don't have any required skills, then just go for the obvious ones. So just like teamwork, collaboration, leadership, time management, organization skills, analytical skills, all this sort of thing. So yeah, analytical skills, I'd make sure I mention those for this one. I'd mention written communication skills because you're going to have to sort of do documentation. I'd say management skills, like managing a project, or leadership skills, because it looks like it's what you're going to have to do. Teamwork skills, growth mindset, focus on your development, willingness to learn. IT skills, that sort of thing. So just go through the job description. Any skills they mention, tick them off, okay? But in any case, it's essentially those things like communication skills, teamwork skills, leadership skills, time management skills, analytical skills, numerical skills, etc., 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 etc. Okay, tick them all off in your CV and cover letter. Okay, so let's get into it now. Your CV. So that's sort of all preparation. Get the work experiences done. Get a couple of those done. Get a MOOC done, preferably a big one. Get a couple of webinars in your locker. Do a bit more research. I've given you a starting point now, but there's more for you to do there. This is now what you need for initial application. You need a CV, a cover letter, a list of skills, and then you sort of just fill out an application form. So in terms of your CV, basically include as much research from the previous steps. So that's like the desirable skills, the research, the values, all that sort of thing. Okay, so it's like mentioning those keywords of sustainability, innovation, safety, thinking about the company values. Can you show that you're all of these? You're a team worker, you're creative, you're reliable, you're respectful, you deliver good customer service, you can show integrity, and then obviously all the desired skills from the job description just on top of that as well. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the structure of a CV today, but I have made a full guide on that. It's actually a full walkthrough to go through exactly what you need to do to write a 2-page CV. You can watch this video, play it in the background, and by the end of it, you'll have a CV completely ready. You also need a cover letter. Oh, just by the way, actually, you don't need a CV. You don't need a cover letter. It's optional for you to submit it. However, if you're trying to get into an Airbus degree apprenticeship, which are competitive, right, and you're not submitting a CV and a cover letter, you're going to get destroyed by someone who is submitting a CV and is submitting a cover letter. So they are optional, but 100% make sure you're submitting a CV and a cover letter. Exact same thing. Make sure you include all the research from the previous steps. So using those articles, the values, especially in the research paragraph. Okay, so this is the structure of a cover letter that I recommend. Particularly, there's the company research paragraph. This is where you want to go all in on a couple of like the key things you found out about them. If you want to go down the sustainability route, then go talk about the sustainability route, okay, and go and talk about maybe their respecting the planet thing and some maybe hydrogen things. Maybe you can go and talk about that safety thing. Maybe like you saw something about safety. Maybe if you're applying software engineering, you want to go down some sort of route where you're talking about their artificial intelligence or some other sort of innovative digital stuff that they've done. Okay, so this is where basically the company research is a key part to getting those research and those articles that you've been reading from the Airbus website. And then also just throughout the rest of the cover letter, again, just keep ticking off the desired skills, ticking off the company values, just making sure you're presenting yourself as that sort of employee who's going to align with their values. Now, another thing is in the initial application, there's going to be a list of skills. So essentially there's a box where it just tells you to list your skills. Now, that sort of comes with a pre-selected list of skills, like, for example, I think public speaking is one of them, and there's just a whole list of sort of the common ones. You can either sort of select one from that list, or you can just go and write your own as well. So I tested it, I had a bit of a play with it. It seems like you can put as many as possible. So this is what I'd do if I was approaching this sort of list of skills box. So I'd make sure I've used all the soft skills from the job description, like that's just obvious, okay? So those desired skills, anything else they've mentioned, like company values, like for example, I'd 100% be saying how I'm respectful, creative, reliable, and team working. 100% I'd say those, okay? I'd also use any technical skills also, so the obvious one is sort of coding languages, which will be important if you're sort of doing DTS or software engineering. Make sure you mention your coding languages because you can use those technical skills. But then also for anyone else who obviously coding isn't relevant for, you could still put something like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Outlook, PowerPoint, Word. I talked to a recruiter before and they said even just mentioning Microsoft Outlook in your application is going to help it, because a lot of these companies, they use Outlook. They want you to be able to use Microsoft Outlook. So that's essentially a good one to put in there. Maybe another one you can put in here is like Teams as well, which you might have used for school, and just show you've done that. I'd probably aim for 10 to 16. Like from me testing it, I think you can put in as many as possible. Maybe there's an upper limit like 50. I didn't go that far, but it seemed like you put as many as you want. I wouldn't go crazy. Like you don't want to just take the mick and just put every single skill possible, because it's a bit unrealistic. So I'd probably, if I was doing it, I'd just personally go for 10 or 16. That will cover the key basic ones. Put a couple of Microsoft like Teams, Microsoft Words in, that sort of thing, and I think we'd be good there. Okay. In terms of LinkedIn, I would make sure I go all or nothing on LinkedIn. Recruiters have told me if your LinkedIn is even 80% or 90% finished, if there's still like 10% where you haven't done something, maybe it's a profile photo, maybe you haven't written about section, maybe you haven't like updated it with your recent stuff, it actually makes your application look worse because you don't look dedicated. You sort of look like you do things, what's the phrase? You look like you sort of half do things, you don't put full effort into things. So you want to make sure your LinkedIn is like fully 100%, or don't use it at all. So when I sort of came to my applications, my LinkedIn, I hadn't updated it for about, I want to say 6 to 8 months, something like that, maybe 8 months. So it was just completely out of date. So I just got rid of it. I deleted my account fully because it made me look like a worse candidate, because it just looked like, oh, it couldn't be bothered to update it. This guy clearly isn't hard working. He's not very dedicated. He's not very organized. If he's like that with his LinkedIn, imagine what he's going to be like with his work. Okay, like come back to this value up here of quality. It's like if your LinkedIn isn't 100% quality, how do I know your work at our company is not going to be quality? Okay, so this is sort of the checklist I used. You want to have every single one of these ticked off: profile photo, banner, bio, about section, experience, education, and then like licenses and volunteering and all that sort of thing. Make sure that's all filled. If it's all filled, then fair enough, go and use your LinkedIn. It's good enough. If not, either quickly make a change, so quickly add a profile photo, or quickly write your about section, or just get rid of it completely. Okay, that's mandatory from my perspective anyway. And to go top 1%, I'd make sure I'd done these sort of things. So these ones I think you'll probably get away with not doing, but it's sort of useful to do. Do some posts, get a recommendation from your manager. If you want more information about that, I've made like a full video which sort of explains like a step-by-step framework for how to make a post and also how to get a recommendation from a manager. So you can go and click that video there. Okay? So that's all my application there. Now, key thing about timescales, which I sort of mentioned at the start of this video. With a lot of degree apprenticeships, it's all a big rush. So to be fair, when I'm filming this video today, in the past couple of weeks, it's all been a big rush. So when JP Morgan, that launched, basically the message from me there was apply to JP Morgan as soon as possible. I made sure within about, I don't know, 10, 12 hours, I'm pretty sure it was, something like that, I had a JP Morgan video released to help people with that. Same with like Goldman Sachs, IBM. As soon as I found out about them, I made a video to help people, and I was basically saying, apply as soon as possible. You don't want it to close, you want to get in early. Now this one, it is actually my opinion, if I was coming to do this Airbus degree apprenticeship, I'd actually take my time. Okay, the reason for that is the closing date seems to be mid-February. Okay, like I haven't checked manually every single one of these vacancies, but it's like I've probably clicked on them at this point, half of them, and they all seem to say that their deadline is like sometime in February. Okay, so this is what I'd personally do with that strategy. Personally, I would wait until I had 3 work experiences, 1 large MOOC, and 2 webinars before applying. Okay? 3 work experience, 1 large MOOC, and 2 webinars before applying. Okay? I think it's more valuable to spend like another month, another couple of weeks, however much you need, doing this like 40-hour MOOC or doing some other work experience or this sort of thing, than just going and rushing applying into the next 24 hours. Okay, this is a bit different to some of the finance companies which you want to get in straight away. This is an engineering company, it works a bit differently. Their deadline is in February, you've got a lot of time. So I'd say chill out. If you're interested in engineering, make sure you've done these work experience, spend a couple of weeks, do this, do this, do this. That's what I do anyway. Okay, I'm not necessarily advising you to do it or not to do it or whatever. Like, you can do what you want. That's just how I personally would approach this. I would just take my time, make sure I've got these done. Okay, and then I'd probably give myself like a deadline of mid-December. Okay, so Airbus, they've said the sort of next stage of their application, so their video interviews or assessment centres, they're going to start in sort of January. Okay, so I'd want to make sure that my application is in before January, sort of before they start getting people into those assessment centres, because really you want to be in the first couple of assessment centres. So I'd probably aim for a mid-December deadline, just sort of get it all done before Christmas. There's probably going to be a lot more people applying over Christmas, because Christmas is a break where people get more chance to sort of spend on their applications. I know over my Christmas of year 13, there are a couple of days there I just spent the whole morning just working on some of my applications. So I'd probably just try and aim for a mid-December deadline at the latest, okay? So you don't like have to wait until mid-December. It's like if everything's ready now, you've done the course, you've done the work experience, then go ahead, right? If you can get it all done pretty quickly in 2 weeks, go ahead. But I'd probably say like latest, you don't want to be leaving it any later than mid-December. That's how I would approach it anyway, but feel free to do it how you want to do it. And here's the link to apply, and this will take you to this website here where there's like a whole list of them. I haven't made like a specific list of which specific degree apprenticeships and locations, because there's like a whole different bunch of combinations with different degrees, different like working hours, different salaries. The salaries in the range this year of 20,200 is the lowest, or you can get 21,674. Okay. Final stage, then the next stage. So once you applied, you'll probably hear back at some point about the video interview and assessment centre. So I just wanted to ask this question then, just to sort of end off the video. Would you guys be interested in a mock Airbus assessment centre? Because if you guys would be interested in that, I can go and put them on. So I can do a mock Airbus interview, sort of mock Airbus group exercise, and just do an overall mock Airbus assessment centre if you guys would be interested in that and that would help you, just comment down below, like, I don't know, interested in mock Airbus Assessment Centre. If I get a couple comments, then I'll look into doing that. You can also subscribe for updates, so it means when I end up doing them, probably, like Airbus ones specifically, I'll probably do it in like January. But when that happens, you'll sort of get updates for that, so you can go and subscribe. And also, if you come to this Notion document, you click this link here, probably be the link in the description as well. That should like sign you up to my mailing list or my program, or probably my mailing list. Yeah, this will sign you up to my mailing list. Okay, so there we go. This might have been a long video, to be fair, but hopefully I just wanted to give you as much value as possible, as much education as possible, just because I am fairly experienced with these aerospace ones because of like the people I've helped and also got into them myself and that sort of thing. So I've just tried to pack this video with as much value as possible, and hopefully that should outline the step-by-step protocol I would follow if I wanted to get into an Airbus degree apprenticeship this year. Should I apply? I should just start applying to degree apprenticeships, man. Just beat you all in the interviews. So yeah, cool. I hope this has helped. If you're interested in that Airbus Assessment Centre, go comment down below. Good luck with your applications, and I'll see you in a bit. Take care. Peace out.